You pick it, I play it. Hi, it's McFluffy52 here, and for this week's Standard Event Saturday, we're playing Izzet Prowess, which is not only a new deck from Tarkir Dragonstorm, but also has found its spot as one of the best decks in Standard Best of 1, at least for now. If you're unfamiliar with Standard Events, they're located under the Events tab, and they're a way to earn gems in-game. You pay either 2,500 gold or 375 gems to enter, and you keep playing until you reach 3 losses. Usually it's best to spend gold to enter, that way you can save your gems to buy the Mastery Pass, and you want to try and get to around 3 wins because you get 200 gems in a pack at 3 wins, and a pack is worth 200 gems in the store, so that's 400 gems of value, which is slightly more than you put in. Your payouts though do get much better as you win more, so that is Standard Events. Let's talk about the deck in a little bit more detail. So for the Standard Events, I pick decks from that you request each week, and so this week I got a request to play Izzet Prowess, and so I looked at the untapped meta, and if you notice at the top of the win rate chart, the top of the deck's chart here, you see that Izzet Prowess stands at the top of it. So we're playing this deck list with pretty much one tweak. I added a single mountain because I thought we were a little bit too skewed to red. But you'll notice this deck, we're playing Monastery Swiftspear, Slickshot Show-Off as our only set of creatures. These all have those sort of prowess triggers. When you cast a non-creature spell, they get bigger or have higher power. Besides that though, we are playing more creatures. They just don't happen to be creatures in type. So we're playing the new card, Cori-Steel Cutter. This card rewards you for casting your second spell. It is an equipment for 2 mana. An equipped creature gets +1/+1 and haste and trample. And then when you cast your second spell, you make a 1/1 prowess monk. And you can attach the Cori-Steel Cutter to it. So basically, whenever you cast your second spell, you're going to get a 1/1 and be able to attach the Cori-Steel Cutter here. And that 1/1 will basically, whatever you cast your second spell, you get a 2/2 with prowess, trample, and haste. So that is how that works. Besides that, we also have Stormchaser's talent. When this enters, you get a 1/1 otter with prowess. So that is kind of the idea of the deck. You're playing a bunch of cheap creatures with prowess, and then you're trying to cast a bunch of cheap spells, non-creature spells, to trigger the Cori-Steel Cutter to make more creatures. We have Boltwave for direct damage, stock up as card advantage, Sleight of Hand and Opt as well, and then Into the Flood Maw for bouncing anything the opponent has, because sometimes your opponent has big creatures. Into the Flood Maw is great for getting rid of those big creatures or whatever might be stopping you from finishing out the game fast, because the goal of this deck is to win fast. We have a little bit of grind to the deck thanks to the Steel Cutter making more and more tokens, but ultimately we are playing an aggressive deck. We have 2 of the Opt, as I already said. Spell Pierce, this is our sort of protection, counter non-creature spell, unless its controller pays 2. You go ahead and look at just Izzet Prowess. There are quite a few lists floating around. Some of them are experimenting with different things like Shore Up, but the best list, according to the stats here, is apparently playing Spell Pierce, so that is what we're going to be going with. It's helpful for if the opponent is going to be playing something like Shelter by Ghosts. You can stop the opponent with the Shore Up. You can stop the opponent from targeting your creature, but they will still resolve the Shelter by Ghosts and get that massive lifelink effect that can help them to slow down your race to finishing their life total. So that is, I think, one of the reasons why Spell Pierce is a little bit better than Shore Up here. And also, you can see that some of the other decks are not playing any of these Into the Flood Maws. Again, being able to bounce a big blocker can result into a bunch of extra damage, thanks to your creature being unblocked. So I think that's why you'll see that the top list are playing these particular cards. Before we get going into the games though, I will say I've played some games of this deck on the ladder, and it has not necessarily treated me as well. I was trying out making some tweaks to the deck. Ultimately, I think I concluded that the deck makes a lot more sense the way it is. But yeah, it didn't start out strong for me, and so hopefully we'll be able to get to those fabled 7 wins in the standard event. All right, here we go. All right, this hand looks all right. I mean, we have a tap land to start, so that's not great. Opponent goes first. That's also a bad sign, but we will give it a try. I think I'm still getting used to this deck. I mean, I've played 15 games on the ranked ladder with it, but I think there is a bit of a learning curve with this deck. It's not quite as straightforward as some of the other options, but one trick that you'll see a lot of people do with this deck is they'll plot the Slickshot Show-Off, and then they will go ahead and the next turn cast the Steel Cutter, and then cast the Slickshot from plot. So that is one common play pattern you will see. It makes a lot of sense if you care about getting that flurry trigger. It can make sure that you get the flurry trigger the same turn that you cast it. You miss out on a little bit of damage with your Slickshot, not getting the non-creature pump. Well, no, wait. Yeah, you do, because I think you have to cast the Steel Cutter first, because you're not going to get the flurry trigger if it's already if it's not on the battlefield. Like, you can't cast the Slickshot and then the Steel Cutter. At least this is my understanding. Hopefully I'm not wrong. Alright, well, that is unfortunate. Opponent appears to be on Dimir. I think to some degree you'll see the best of one ladder has probably shifted a bit to try and either race this deck or handle it a little bit better. I'm not as sure that we will see the same kind of reaction from the decks that we face in the event here. I will say, from playing those games on the ladder and losing a bunch with this deck, I can kind of see I would make an argument towards the Cori-Steel Cutter. Yes, it is like a thing that makes prowess tokens, but I feel like it's not quite suited to just throw it into a prowess creature deck. I wonder if it would be better in a burn deck, because you can just keep throwing spells out. The sequencing matters a little less or something. I am not sure. Alright, we'll play the Stormchaser's Talent. Hopefully our opponent doesn't have a sweeper, but they are playing blue-black, and there's only 5 mana sweepers for black. I think our opponent's deck is perhaps more of a mid-range deck, and they didn't draw their cheap creatures, they just drew their interaction. Especially, that's what I'm seeing. If they're playing Gix, they probably care more about small creatures that have evasion, so that they can trigger that first ability of Gix that draws them cards. Opponent has 1 blue mana open, so they could have another bounce spell. They're likely going to bounce the Swiftspear, or they could be bouncing their Yawgmoth, so we're gonna not target our Swiftspear that Yawgmoth or Gix here is blocking, so that they're forced to yeah, they want to protect their Gix, so they're gonna bounce that creature. So if we Monstrous Raged it, we would have lost out on that damage. Opponent has 1 card left. They gotta start drawing, but we can just block, which we honestly probably should, because them top decking that land there definitely hurt a lot. Well, hurt their odds a lot, and hurt for them. We definitely liked it. Opponent. What are they going to do? They looked at their graveyard briefly. Don't know if that means that they have some kind of zombify effect or way to get cards back from their graveyard. They could have like there's a 3 mana fairy that allows you to recast spells from your graveyard. The Deadly Cover-Up was not on my radar, but I said I didn't think they have sweepers because they have a Gix, but they are allowed to put whatever card they want in their deck. Sweepers, they're really good because they're good in the sense that they can be a kind of catch-all for if there's a problematic board state or if the game gets out of your hands, but there's also the problem. I think I'm just going to activate the Restless Spire here. Perhaps not the right plan here, but another Boltwave means that we can eventually finish them off next turn. Very Mastermind. Yeah, I think we will be absolutely fine to go ahead, bounce this. In hindsight, bouncing that did nothing because it has flash, but we can cast a Boltwave. I need to find Trample, actually. I guess that allowed us to draw a card without having to worry, is the argument here. The Steel Cutter, I don't think we need the Steel Cutter, because we can just use the... We'll get 1 damage in. But yeah, we can get this a spell back with Stormchaser's talent, and then we should be able to win just by casting Bolt Waves. Play a Bolt Wave, get a spell back. I think there was a way that I could play that turn out way better and maybe even won the game, depending on if we had more interesting top deck, but as things stand, I can't block everything, so actually this is just gonna win the game this turn. Alright, well, another Bolt Wave. I think they're dead. No cards in hand, 1 blocker and 1 life. GG. Before we get into the rest of the games, Magic the Gathering can feel overwhelming when you first start. There are so many mechanics, cards, and strategies, but it doesn't have to be that way. The sponsor of today's video is the Sorcerer's Field Guide from Ivory Tower Games. This guide to Magic the Gathering is designed to help players understand Magic from the ground up, everything from deck building to mastering different strategies. If you're new to Magic the Gathering, this book will walk you through the fundamentals, explain key mechanics in a way that actually makes sense, and help you avoid common beginner mistakes. This book bridges the gap between beginner-friendly explanations and deep strategic insights, making it a perfect resource for players at any level. Having a resource like this in hand can help make your game nights go more smoothly. If you're new to Magic, if you're tired of asking that one guy about the rules, or if you're getting a friend or family member into Magic, check out the Sorcerer's Field Guide using my link below, which also helps support the channel. Thanks, and let's hop into the rest of the games. Alright, this hand seems pretty good. We have 2 untapped lands. We only have 1 tap land in the deck, so maybe that doesn't mean as much, but Monastery Swiftspear, we have 2 creatures. 2 lands, 2 creatures. We can cast most of our things. So the opponent is on red. As I was kind of talking about in the previous game, one thing I found with this deck is that the Steel Cutter, since you have to cast 2 spells, it's really awkward. You kind of take turn 2 off, and so it makes the deck feel a little bit slower than I think you would maybe want these kind of prowess decks to be. You're slower than like the fastest red decks, and then you're too fast to grind your way through the more controlling mid-range piles in standard at the moment. That is my concerns with Cori-Steel Cutter in this deck, but see, you can mono red. Well, this is less about mono red having a nut draw and more about maybe I should have kept a different hand, but we will play Slickshot, Talent, and then Burst Lightning to get rid of the Manifold Mouse. I do think one thing, we played an Izzet Prowess deck on this channel previously. Another thing that I feel that's kind of problematic with this list, oh wait, we're just dead, my bad. I feel like I'm doing maybe too much yapping, and well, I apologize for any filthy gameplay I might have shown during this recording, but what goes first? Hand, tap land, turn 1, Cori-Steel Cutter. We basically take turn 1 and turn 2 off. But we have a lot of burn, so it can also be used as removal if the opponent's playing an aggressive deck. They have a Jace Avatar, so they're probably not an aggressive deck. Stock up feels really slow, but it's really good for card advantage, but we don't have the lands to cast it. I don't know. I'm keeping. Maybe I should have kept the stock up and gone down to Burst Lightning or gone down the Boltwave. But you can see, as I was saying, Cori-Steel Cutter, it feels almost too slow for this deck that feels like it wants to play so fast, but then the rest of the deck ends up being kind of too fast to really make it through more grindy matchups. That is my take, but maybe I am wrong. Oh no. I don't know what's happening, but 1 win, 1 loss. Let's go. We're into a new game. Arena is confusing me. This hand looks alright. We have Sleight of Hand, so we can try and dig for more action. I don't really think we need more lands, though. We could use a mountain or an island to turn on our verges here. First lightning coming down to probably stop that from getting big. Good, get rid of that. I could hold on to the Boltwave so that we can get some value out of it with Slickshot Show-Off. Though, honestly, we're probably going to cast Restock or Stock Up next turn, so maybe it's not worth it. Riverpyre Challenger. Definitely think we want to grab as much. Yeah, I think we can't grab the Spell Pierce here. It's just not going to resolve if they have enough. Well, we're not going to be winning the game if we grab the Spell Pierce. We'll get rid of one of their mice and cast one of the Bolt Waves. Down to 9. We are at 13, but they have Emberheart Challenger and the Restless Ridge line. Yeah. Anyways, I'm not entirely sold on this deck, especially since I lost those games, but perhaps that is just the gut reaction from too small of a sample size. Stormchaser talent, that actually could be relevant, because we can fish back a card from our graveyard. We can grab back Stock Up, potentially. I think we hold on to Boltwave. We have enough mana where we don't mind having it be somewhat, or not being efficient with our mana, since all of our spells are so cheap. We have 4 damage on board. We'll go down to 5. If they have any spells, though, we could be dead to an Emberheart Challenger, which does appear to be the case. If they have any prowess spell, that puts us, for any spell and a prowess trigger, that pretty much kills us down to 1. No. So staying alive. pretty sure there's no way out of this for us because we can't get rid of their board effectively. And we don't have enough damage, so we die on next turn. Alright, well, apparently that one loss, we got a loss from when the game disconnected us, so that is Izzet Prowess, everyone. Very, very cool. We got back only a small portion of our gems. Unfortunate. Well, that is going to do it for this video. I will be submitting a ticket for to get my gems back because well, that is what you can do if it does bug out like that. There is perhaps I'll put the link in the description. If you experience some sort of strange issue like this, I'm pretty sure there's somewhere you can fill out and they will get you your gems back, because obviously we shouldn't have just completely flunked out of the event like that. But I will post this because I try and always do these, or like I've always done these standard events as like the first try or take and then uploaded it. So post the good with the bad. This was Izzet Prowess. I think you can have much better performances, obviously, and I showed on how on Untapped this deck is among some of the best in standard best of one currently. It is just a question of well, getting a little bit more lucky than me, and how will the meta adapt to it. Let me know what you think of the deck, and have a nice morning, evening, night, afternoon, wherever and whenever you're watching. Take care of yourself.